is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Southwest.
The Rangers' focus tonight, as it has been all season, is on winning. Though an opportunity to clinch another West title at Globe Life Park will not take place tonight, a win will leave their magic number at 1. A win will also give them the satisfaction of a sweep of the Angels and another winning homestand. The push for the playoffs marches on when your Rangers meet the Angels next. Globe Life Park and the push for the playoffs continues tonight. Rangers going for the sweep of the Angels in the final game of this homestand on what really is a very comfortable, beautiful night here in Arlington, Texas. And hello again, everybody. Welcome into the booth. I'm Dave Raymond with Steve Busby. And today, Derek Holland will get the start for the Rangers to try and finish this thing off. It was another one-run victory last night for the Rangers here at home. And Buzz, this has been a very friendly place for this Rangers team this year.
It has, Dave, and the Rangers look to keep that going, not only for the rest of this season, down the stretch, but into the postseason. They hope it'll be a long run in the postseason this year. And big part of that is because they have played so well at home. 50-24, that's the best home record in the American League and second best to the Cubs in all of baseball. Already a 74-game home record streak for the Texas Rangers, 2 wins shy of matching the team record for the most wins in any season. So it looks to be, with 2 wins in the final 7 games, they'll get that record. It looks to be a pretty sure bet to keep things going here at home.
And tonight's business, of course, getting a win here, the sweep over the Angels, and in doing so, getting that magic number down to 1. NOMAR MAZARA has provided power, homering in each of the first 2 games. He'll be a big part of things tonight. Final game of this series coming up. Texas Rangers baseball presented by high-speed internet from AT&T. West is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today for incredible deals and see why Ford is the best in Texas. By AT high-speed internet. Get a deal worth talking about. Get high-speed internet from AT&T. By Budweiser, not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Final game of this 3-game series, Rangers and Angels. Rangers going for the sweep, but we check in with Emily Jones.
Well, Dave, the Rangers cannot clinch the American League West here tonight. However, still very much in control of their own destiny. It just seems like a matter of time. Magic number is 2, 10 games to play, and ADRIAN BELTRE knows these opportunities are not guaranteed and they are not a given, and so he will enjoy every moment of every one of them.
Well, you never know when it might be your last time. And obviously we have a really good team this year, really good chance to win the World Series, which is what we all want to. I think if we didn't win this year, it's going to be a disappointing year, especially for me. I don't want to take that easily. I want to make sure that we as a team, we stay focused and know that what we need to do to get there. Obviously, the first step is to win the division. And the second one, we're going to go the first round of the playoffs and go so on. But we all know it's not easy to win the World Series, but we believe this team have a good tool to do it.
And one thing you can bet on, if ADRIAN BELTRE is saying it, every member of this team is buying into it. So whatever ADRIAN says, whatever mindset they have right now is what this entire team has, and it's dictated by ADRIAN BELTRE. Pretty strong words there, saying that this season would be a disappointment if they don't win the World Series. Obviously some business to take care of beforehand, but some strong words from the captain.
Yeah, no doubt about it, and they are buying in as we get ready to go. Let's take a look at the Angels starting lineup tonight. Mike Scioscia brings them in at 65 and 86, and he will start things off with Yunel Escobar at third base. Mike Trout, the center fielder, bats second, and always dangerous Albert Pujols, the DH, is third, and in the cleanup spot today, shortstop Andrelton Simmons. Jeffrey Marte, the left fielder, bats fifth. CJ Cron drops down to sixth in the order. He's at first base. Gregorio Petit at second. Carlos Perez, the catcher, bats eighth. And then Shane Robinson, starting in right field, will round things out for the Angels.
And that's Mike Scioscia's lineup. That'll face the 29-year-old left-hander Derek Holland from Newark, Ohio. And Derek trying to turn things back around. The last 2 times out have not been kind to him. He gave up 9 runs in 9 2/3 innings of work. So Derek making his 20th start of the year, 7 and 8 at ERA of 4.93. It's come down a bit. The league still hitting 277 against him, and Derek looking to make a good showing here and in his last start of the regular season in hopes of being a contributor to the Rangers in the postseason. And we look at the breakdown for Derek Holland. In general, 61% fastballs, sliders and curveballs, about a 29% between those two and a few changeups. But I think you'll look to see more fastballs early tonight from Derek Holland, very much like what Martin Perez did here on Monday night against the same club. And Jonathan Lucroy was glowing in his reports of what Martin Perez was able to do, spotting that fastball up.
Well, we'll see if Holland can repeat that kind of an effort, and a one-pitch ground ball to short. Elvis Andrus retires Yunel Escobar. That's a great start as we take a look at the rest of the Rangers defense today, delivered to you by the New Braunfels Convention and Visitors Bureau. Joining Andrus on the left side of the infield this evening, Jurickson Profar with the start at third. Rougned Odor and Mitch Moreland on the right side of the infield. The outfield goes Nomar Mazara in left, Carlos Gomez in center, Carlos Beltran in right, and Jonathan Lucroy doing the catching tonight for Derek Holland. Nothing like getting the leadoff man on a pitch and dealing to Mike Trout with the bases empty. Trout, .318 average, and the best on base percentage in baseball at .438. Holland going right after him.
Yeah, looking back to Monday night, that's exactly what happened with Martin Perez and Escobar. One pitch, and it took a great play that night by Elvis Andrus, a diving stop, and he threw Escobar out, but same result.
2-1 to Trout. Yeah, that was some start we saw Monday night. Best of the year.
Yep. In my opinion too, David, it really was impressive the way he commanded the strike zone.
2-2 on Mike Trout.
And Holland waiting until the 5th pitch that he threw to throw his first off-speed pitch. Very effective.
And there's the line that Perez authored on Monday night. No walks, only the 2 strikeouts, but a couple of runs on 4 hits against a very good lineup. And that one just missed by Holland. It's a full count on Mike Trout.
Yeah, one final thought on Martin Perez. The 79 pitches, 60 of them were for strikes. That's an incredible ratio, and exactly what you can do against a team like the Angels when you spot that fastball up.
Payoff pitch, and he gets Trout swinging as Holland notches his first strikeout of the night.
So you establish fastball in hitters' minds, and even a good hitter like Mike Trout, you go to 3-2, and he has a little bit of a doubt in the back of his mind whether you're going to stay with that fastball or come on the breaking ball. He had seen one breaking ball but had not swung at it, and this time on 3-2 he could not stop himself.
An interesting smile that he gave to Holland after coming up empty on that one, and the first pitch to PUJOLS in the dirt. Albert at 264 for the year, but 30 home runs once again, and you can see he's had good success against Holland in his career. He's had good success against pretty much everyone in his career, and he hammers it down to third. Profar right there though, and it's an easy 1-2-3 for Derek Holland at the top of the first. The lefty off to a good start, and here come the Rangers when we return. Southwest Airlines batting lineup for the Rangers tonight. Carlos Gomez leading it off in center field. He has been the story lately offensively for this team. Nomar Mazara in left field bats second. Carlos Beltran in right field batting third. The cleanup man is the DH, Adrian Beltre. Rougned Odor follows at second base. Jonathan Lucroy will do the catching, bat sixth. Then it's Mitch Moreland, Elvis Andrus, and then Jurickson Profar at third base, rounding things out tonight for Jeff Bannister. Gomez been outstanding in that leadoff spot and takes ball one from Jared Weaver.
Yeah, Jared Weaver making his 30th start of the year again, and this is the 7th different season he's had at least 30 starts. He has fared well against the Rangers in the past, but not in this ballpark. He's 5-8 here. He has 37 starts against the Rangers, and that's the most against any of his opposing teams. He is 12-0 in Angel Stadium with an ERA of about 2.25. He is 5-8 here with an ERA above 4.5. Look at the pitch breakdown. Still almost 50% fastballs, even though his fastball now regularly tops out around 82, 83 miles an hour. A very good command of a curveball and a changeup. And he makes it tough on hitters because of the change of speeds within a lower framework. You know, the fastball isn't there, but the changeup works just as well because there's about a 10-mile-an-hour separation. The curveball, the same idea.
Well, it's payoff to Gomez, and he strikes him out to start the bottom of the first. Weaver, one of those guys you have to admire.
Yeah, he's found a way to adapt to his changing stuff. He still is a quality pitcher. His record with another win would be a .500 record, which, you know, considering the kinds of problems he has had physically, you have to be amazed at, to be quite honest.
Well, yeah, and a team 21 games under, and he's managed to keep it right around .500 this year. 11-12, and he starts Nomar Mazara with a backdoor breaking ball for a strike. He wastes little time, too. Comes right after Nomar and has jumped ahead here. 0-2. Mazara has done well against the Angels and against Weaver. Part of the reason he's batting second. Now, last night, Mazara made it consecutive games with a home run. And that ball really well struck just to the right of center field.
We had that down at 438 last night, the distant travel.
Yeah, he doesn't hit many cheap ones. I mean, they're all 420, 450 feet. 20 home runs in this rookie season for Mazara. That one almost backed its way into the zone. It's 2-2. Well, made his debut against Jared Weaver and had 3 hits in that game, including a home run. That was in Anaheim, and a roller through, a base hit for Mazara. So the Rangers have the first base runner tonight. And I don't know, you could almost predict it would have been Nomar.
Yeah, Weaver gets a little frustrated with a guy like Nomar Mazara because you really can't change speeds on him because he waits back on the ball so well. Takes the ball the other way if he's a little bit behind it. He'll pull the ball as he did then, going to the right of second base. In Ranger history, Pete Incaviglia, the most home runs in a rookie season with 30. And Teixeira and Dave Hostetler more than Nomar. Nomar has 9 more ball games that he can make target on some of those.
Yeah, and he's heating it up right now too. He's starting to make a lot of loud contact as the pitch to Beltran a little bit in for ball 1. Overall numbers for Carlos in his time with the Yankees and the Rangers this year, all very good. What happened there? Weaver just
got his spikes caught.
Yeah, happens. Mazara will go to second on the block.
Yeah, that, you know, look kind of awkward. That's really dangerous. So Mike Scioscia would be very concerned because Weaver's had some low back problems, and you can see a big, tall, gangly guy like Jared Weaver. All of a sudden, those cleats hit, and his front foot going forward, they snag, and he could very easily wrench his back doing that.
So he puts Mazara in scoring position now. The 1-0 to Beltran. Boy, there's a big breaking ball. 1-1. The last 3 weeks or so for Carlos, he's been seeing it well. And you were talking about Nomar staying back on the ball. Beltran shows a very patient style up there, very laid back.
Not a whole lot of moving parts for Carlos Beltran until he decides to let the bat go, and all of a sudden things happen in a hurry.
2-1, so a good count for Beltran, and he will lift this one down the left field line, but into the seats. And so it's 2-2. Final game of this series, and a chance for the Rangers to sweep the Angels. That itself would be pretty tasty. And of course, finish off a very good homestand.
by taking 4 of 6. Beltran down swinging, and that's 2 strikeouts for Weaver.
Again, that slow curveball at about 70 miles an hour or so, and that's a 13 or 14 mile differential than from his fastball, plus the movement. So it's difficult even for a veteran hitter like Carlos Beltran to handle. Now, you talk about guys challenging hitters, pitchers challenging hitters. First thing that pops to your mind is trying to blow them away with a fastball. Jared Weaver challenges guys with slow stuff. He'll challenge you with a changeup. He'll challenge you to hit it. Say, here, it's coming. Here's my slow curveball. See if you can hit it. And that's challenging as much as rearing back and trying to throw a ball by a guy.
Well, you're right. I mean, he lives in the zone. He's not gonna walk many guys. And the challenging part of that, as you're saying, sometimes you can see that manifest itself in home runs, and it has and does with Weaver. He has given up 36 home runs this year. That's most in the American League. Here's a guy who likes to hit against anybody in an Angels uniform. Beltre has had a lot of fun against Mike Scioscia's club. And it's been a terrific year for Beltre overall this year. 30 home runs, 98 RBIs. Weaver's 2-1. And that will even it up. Now, one big swing by Beltre here would give him an even 100 RBIs for the year. 5 hits in his last 3 games, including a couple of doubles. And he hits this one high in the air, but right to shortstop. And Andrelton Simmons will take care of it to end the inning for Weaver. He works around the single, no score after 1. To the second inning, and we'll see part of the order for the Angels here. Simmons, Marte, and C.J. Cron. Derek Holland, very crisp in the first inning, and first pitch swinging. Simmons finds some grass in right field, so he is on to start the second inning.
Now, we've seen Andrelton Simmons this entire year, as a matter of fact. First ball, fastball hitting, and usually taking the ball the other way. He loves to do that. And Derek Holland threw him a pitch he could handle going the other way.
All right, so he's on for Marte, and we check in with Jim Knox.
Appreciate it, Dave. We got some great Ranger fans out here tonight. Texas Rangers Women's Club right there taking the night off. Good to have you there. The Erdman family in. Boys taking in the game for the very first time. We got a couple in from Arkansas. There you go. And guess what, guys? Dollar Dog Night. How many did you polish off so far?
4 so far, but it's early.
Okay, that's early. There you go. Pretty good. Keep going. There we go. Thanks. Dave?
Rangers!
Go Rangers!
Well, that's good enthusiasm early in this ball game, and 4 hot dogs in. Simmons is on for the Angels. First base runner tonight against Holland. And the lefty will try and keep him a hair closer to the bag. Andrelton Simmons this year with 9 steals. That is a career high for him. Jeffrey Marte, meanwhile, .253 hitter. And it's 1-1. Holland facing a lineup tonight, all right-handers. Very similar to the lineup we saw Monday night. With the one alteration was C.J. Cron was batting cleanup and Simmons 6th on Monday night. They swapped spots in the order tonight. That is the only change. But all righties, as Martin Perez saw on Monday night. 1-1. And that one fouled well out of play for a strike on Marte.
Yeah, Derek sitting there watching the game on Monday night, watching Martin work, I'm sure was taking copious mental notes as to what was going on and what was effective, what wasn't effective. And there wasn't very much that wasn't effective. But he talked that over with Jonathan Lucroy today, talking about the game plan. And I'm sure they've formulated a very solid one with proven results already.
Well, he readies for a 1-2 to Marte, and he gets him swinging. Second strikeout of the ball game.
Interesting, it would be on look like a straight changeup. That is a pitch that Derek Holland has gone away from and has been making an effort to get back to. When he first came to the big leagues, Derek Holland had a great changeup and threw it a lot. He was very confident in it and then lost it. It went away for a while and he just lost the feel for it.
Well, he's got a couple of strikeouts early on here tonight. Got a couple of ground outs as well. And we'll now take a look at C.J. Cron. Cron with 16 home runs this year, and he has always struggled with Derek Holland. Part of the reason he slips a couple of spots in the order. And Holland gets him with strike 1. 1 for 13 against Derek in his career. How about that yesterday? Couldn't get a pitch to hit. One and one the count.
Yeah, Ranger pitchers last night with 8 walks in that ball game against the Angels and still won. That's doing something.
It's one of those things that kind of got lost in the shuffle last night because there was so much going on in yesterday's game. Normally, that would be the kind of thing you would observe pretty closely at the end. You say, how did they do that?
Yeah.
The one thing is the bullpen in this series has just been terrific for Jeff Bannister. 2 scoreless appearances on Monday night. Boy, it's just kind of settling in out there right now. And it's 1 and 2 on C.J. Cron. Yesterday, though, it was 6 men out of the bullpen, combining to allow just 1 unearned run. And working around a lot of those walks you were just talking about. Tanner Scheppers, the man right there in the middle of that group, he came in to get a very big out. Faced Albert Pujols with the bases loaded in the 8th and got him to roll out. That was maybe the big out of the game. There's a liner by Cron into center field. Second hit of the inning for the Angels. So with 2 strikes, couldn't finish off Cron, and now the bottom of the order coming up for Los Angeles.
You saw the target looked like it was going to be down and away, and fortunately that was about belt high on the inside quarter of the plate. Cron able to get some pretty good wood on it.
So with a couple of men on, Gregorio Petit. Not a lot of power. Petit went 0 for 4 Monday night. Was not in the starting lineup yesterday, though came in to pinch hit in the 8th and struck out. After this game, the Angels will head down the road to Houston and open a 4-game series there against the Astros as Holland buries his first offering to Petit. And I suppose worth addressing now, we wondered coming into today, might it be an opportunity for the Rangers to clinch the division here at home? They needed some help. The Astros were out in Oakland. Ended up being quite the finish, with the Astros prevailing this afternoon. And Petit makes it 1-1. So the Astros victorious today in Oakland. That will hold off the Rangers clinching till at least tomorrow. Magic number currently 2. Holland, 9 pitches in the first inning to get 3 quick outs. Now working around a couple of base runners. And a nice move there on Simmons. Simmons was in the middle of a bit of the excitement last night. Carlos Gomez went sliding into second base. Didn't like the way that worked out. Bouncer this time through the right side. That's a base hit for Petit. Simmons heading to the plate. He'll get there without a throw. The throw instead goes to third, and Cron is gunned down. But Cron possibly thinking that he would be headed to third uncontested, and that if anything there might be a throw to the plate. Instead, he was out by a mile at third base.
Yeah, good throw by Carlos Beltran. Carlos doesn't get as much of an opportunity to play in the outfield as he once did, but he still is able to throw extremely well, and he's a very accurate thrower. And a guy, nice deke down there at third by Jurickson Profar, pretending that there was not going to be a play, just standing there kind of like, twiddling his thumbs, and all of a sudden Cron said, "Oh, I'm going to make it easily." Well, no, not quite. You would have if I hadn't had the ball.
Pop up this time, back up first base. Long run for Odor, but he'll get there. And the inning is done. Angels, though, do get the first run of the night on 3 hits off Holland. And now the Rangers coming up for the bottom of the 2nd. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. And by the all-new 3-row Mazda CX-9, meticulously crafted for driving because driving matters. A good crowd on a Wednesday night. 1-0, Angels leading early, and Rougned Odor serves a first Weaver offering right out to Mike Trout in center field, 1 away.
Yeah, Dave, you're talking about the Rangers not being able to clinch here tonight, and it's certainly true, but they can assure a couple of things. A win tonight by the Rangers would officially eliminate the Seattle Mariners from contention, and it would also officially give the Rangers at least a tie for the division title with the Astros. So that, looking on the what can they do side, that could be the case with a win tonight.
Yeah, and that's a good point. It's also an interesting thing about tying for the division title. And we'll touch on that here in a moment. Jonathan Lucroy takes one a little bit in from Weaver. You tie for the division. There is no head-to-head tiebreaker. You got to play a game to settle it.
That's right.
So, despite the fact the Rangers have thumped the Astros all season to the tune of 15 wins and only 4 losses, they would still theoretically have to have a 1-game playoff to decide who wins the division, which is interesting. 2-0 pitch, and that one right in there. A little different angle to see Moreland waiting in the on-deck circle. As Lucroy bats with a 2-1 count. And that a little high. Weaver, we mentioned earlier, 11 wins, 12 losses. Now the ERA at 5.17. If it were to stay there, that would be the highest in his long career. So it has not been a pleasant year for him that way. Bouncer up the middle, but the second baseman, Petit, on the wrong side of the bag, and he makes the play, 2 away. And it brings up Mitch Moreland. Now, when you want to talk about home field advantage in the playoffs, it is also meaningful, Buzz, to your point about tonight's game, to continue winning and to continue to have the lead over Cleveland. Now, it's a 2-game lead at the moment, but there is a tiebreaker there that goes back to the regular season, and the Rangers own that.
So in effect, it's 2.5, and that half would be permanent. But Cleveland losing in the early going to Kansas City tonight, so that's something to keep your eye on. Also, that's not as huge a deal as it is in other sports, but it's still big. It's still important, especially as well as the Rangers have played in this ballpark this year.
2 outs for Moreland. And he hits this ball high in the air to center field. Trout circles underneath it. And it's a 1-2-3 for Jared Weaver. So 2 innings in, 1-0 Angels lead. night of the season will be next Wednesday. Well, 2 Wednesdays now. September 28th when the Rangers face the Milwaukee Brewers. Head out to the ballpark early and enjoy all the hot dogs you can eat for just $1 each. Get your tickets today at TexasRangers.com or by calling 972-RANGERS. Indeed, that is next Wednesday, the final homestand of the season for the Rangers, at least during the regular season. Shane Robinson, 9th place hitter for the Angels, bounces one slowly up the middle, and Elvis Andrus right there, one away. So back to the top of the order for the Angels, and for us it's a Chevy game break and back to John Radigan. Thanks, John.
He's making a mockery out of it.
He is.
That's amazing.
Well, and you're hearing a lot more conversation these days about potential Rookie of the Year in the American League, and he just kind of out of nowhere has taken a lot of the attention away from Nomar Mazara, who's been doing it all year.
Right. Well,
not at that rate.
Not, yeah, exactly.
Here's Yunel Escobar, grounded out in the first inning. Fights this one off to keep the count 0-2. Pretty remarkable what the Yankees did at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
They felt like they were too old to get to the postseason. And now people are saying, well, they might be too young to get to the postseason. And they're right there on the cusp. Holland with a longer look in, and Escobar had enough of it. Now Derek ready. Still 0-2. Escobar, very good hitter. 309 average, is 9th in the league. And he's been getting on this year at a 360 clip. Well, a good sized third baseman, and he does not have great speed. But a nice job in that leadoff spot, and he finds his way on again as he rolls one right out there into center field. Well, it is the 4th hit tonight against Derek Holland. And now Holland will have to deal with Mike Trout with a runner on base.
Yeah, an 0-2 pitch, if you're going to try to come inside, it can't be out over the plate. It's got to get it. You've got to get that pitch in there. Even if you miss and he doesn't swing at it, that's fine. It still has a purpose. But when you leave an 0-2 pitch to a guy that's been a little bit defensive out over the plate, you're asking for trouble.
Well, first pitch to Trout. Fastball's a little high. See Joe West back there behind the plate. Joe missed last night's game. Back there today. West was attending a funeral yesterday, so got the day away. And this ball ripped foul. 1-1 the count on Mike Trout. So better than 70% of the pitches in the strike zone this year have enticed hitters to get after it against Holland.
Yeah, the problem he's having, that Derek's having this year, is his strikeout percentage is way down. It's down almost 2 strikeouts per 9 innings, and that's a lot. And you go from 7, he was a little bit over 7, to just barely over 5. You're not putting as many guys away, so you're having to work a little extra hard.
Well, 7 wins, 8 losses. This is 20th start of the year, and his ERA a little under 5 at 4.93. Trout held off, and it is 2-2. And so if you're not finishing guys with strike 2, that means you have to make, I don't know how to say this, a higher quality pitch.
Yeah.
Right.
You do. If your stuff is to the point where it's not as unhittable as it was. And I don't mean completely, but I mean, you're not getting as many swings and misses or weak contact. Then you've got to figure out something else.
Trout pops this one up. Coming in for it, and it is a long run. Going out for it is Odor. Beltran was coming in, and that one's just foul. Boy, Odor really covered some ground and just missed that one. That would have been some kind of play.
Well, you talk about range for a second baseman. Look where Rugden is starting. He's about 10 feet from the bag at second. He has as much range as any second baseman going after a pop foul or pop-up as anybody you're going to see. Sliding for self-protection there. Trying to make sure he doesn't run headlong into that padding. Yeah, it is padded, but that's not soft padding.
Man.
He can cover some ground now and going on pop-ups. Matter of fact, the two Ranger middle infielders, he and Elvis Andrus, go after pop-ups as well as I think any duo in baseball.
We saw Elvis chase one down last night into straightaway center. A real fine play to end an inning, and now it's a full count on Mike Trout.
You remember when Trout was up the first time, Holland went 3-2 and got him on a breaking ball. And the reason I say that is because Trout's remembering that too.
Got a big smile for Holland afterward.
As long as that smile wasn't saying, I've got you right where I want you now, you're okay. I see a hitter smile like that, though. I'm not real sure I like that.
Well, especially a hitter like Mike Trout.
Exactly. Yeah, bad hitters don't ever smile.
Here's a 3-2. And he was waiting for it. Ripped it foul. Hey, there you go.
Bring your glove, make a play. That's what it's all about. He went to the Tom Green school of being a fan, brought his glove out to the ballpark, and made a play on it. Nice going. Ooh. Easy now. Don't lose your footing.
Yeah, yeah.
Stay pretty little girl cool. Behind him. Thank you for making that play.
That's not easy either. Those things get up there in a hurry. What a babe. All right, 3-2 again. And this time the fastball misses, so Trout is on. And the Angels have a couple of base runners for Albert Pujols.
Designated hitter Albert Pujols.
Pujols grounded out in the first inning. 0 for 1. Now he's come up with some base runners in this series. He left them loaded in the 8th inning last night. Came up with men on the corners in the 6th inning yesterday. Struck out swinging. But in the 2nd inning last night, was at the plate with the bases loaded, and he walked in a run. That's part of what he can do. He's a very good hitter. Not just in terms of the power he provides, which is significant. About 113 RBIs this year, and he takes strike one. And that's pretty good right there. Almost 32% of the time. Seems like every time he's up, it's a very meaningful at bat. 1-1. Well, that's a big spot for Derek Holland early tonight. He was very quick in the first. Avoided further damage in the second, but in some trouble here in this 3rd inning. Albert apparently held off in the count, 2-1. It's been a while for Pujols to get into this range of RBIs. Albert had 40 home runs last year, and it was the first time since that same 2010 season. A big year for him with the Cardinals. And he'll put this one on the ground and through into left field. Escobar rounding third, does not have good speed. The throw just a bit offline, however, and he scores to make it 2-0 Angels. A little hesitation looked like on the part of Jurickson Profar on a ball that, easy for me to say up here, looked like he might have had a play on. Instead, an RBI single for Pujols. Yeah, maybe not.
No, I don't think so. That had some overspin. That second hop was picking up speed, it looked like.
Yep, base hit off the bat, really, for Pujols. Joe West looks like he's asking for he's asking for the baseball, which had been tossed into that camera well and authenticated. Major League Baseball has a representative at every ballpark. Their job is to log and authenticate anything that comes off the field like that. And not real sure why Joe would have wanted that back. But there it goes. It's a souvenir. So now the pitch to Andrelton Simmons in there for a strike. Simmons singled and scored a run of the second inning. He's been on a pretty good run lately. Hits in 13 of his last 15 games with that knock earlier today. Runner going from second, the throw to third is in plenty of time. Trout gunned down, and it's just the 6th time this year he's been caught stealing.
Yeah, nice job by Jonathan Lucroy, the best in the business of throwing out opposing runners. As far as numbers are concerned, he has thrown out more than anybody in the major leagues. Right down where the throw needed to be, so Jurickson could apply that tag.
Meanwhile, the count 1-1 on Andrelton Simmons. And he'll hit it sharply but foul. Strike 2.
Not a bad jump by Trout. I think he felt that he'd probably steal that pretty easily, but Jonathan Lucroy had different ideas. That is a quick release. Very quick and a perfect throw.
A 37th base runner. Oh, I'm sorry, 38th that he has caught this year. And there's a strikeout of Simmons to end the inning. So another run comes across for the Angels. They lead 2-0 for the last of the third. Southwest are teaming up to thank Rangers fans for a great season. Help us rent out the ballpark September 26th through 28th. with special $10 tickets. Use the online coupon code REDOUT. Go to TexasRangers.com/specials to rent out the ballpark and take advantage of this great offer. That's the spirit. Yeah. Well practiced around here on the Redouts. Here come the Rangers now in the bottom of the third inning, trailing 2-0. Elvis Andrus batting 8th tonight will start things off. And taps it down to third. Escobar with all kinds of time, 1 away. Hey, going back to last inning, just to clear up a rhetorical question we're throwing around out here. Why was Joe West so interested in that ball that was already authenticated? Well, it looks like, and we're just guessing as we do with most everything up here, the ball was hit by Pujols and picked up an RBI, which tied him with Frank Robinson for 20th on the all-time list, 1,812 RBIs. And so it may well be that Pujols said, hey, it'd be nice if I could have that ball. No, all he has to do is get online and pay for it. This ball hit well out toward right field. Trout going back, and that one off the fence and crosses him up in a big way. Profar heading to third, and there will be a relay throw, but it's late. A triple for Jurickson Profar. And for the moment, the way that caromed off the wall and crossed up Trout, you had to think even more. But he's so quick out there.
That's one of the several angles anywhere from dead center around to the right field foul pole where balls can bounce crazily away from the outfielders. And Mike Trout just got too close to the wall. He thought he'd have a shot at it, but didn't pull up in time. So the carom just rocketed right on by, and that ball was ripped by Profar. It hit on the wall and bounced back toward dead center field, and Profar easily into third with a one-out triple.
So he sets the table now for the top of the order. Carlos Gomez. He struck out in the first inning, but has been doing a great job. In his 25 games with the Rangers, the average was at .276 with 6 home runs. It's this one fouled. The count quickly 0-2.
Yeah, it looks like Carlos really intent on making contact with that short, quick swing. He's not falling all over the place trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark. He's doing what is required right now, and that's contact in the middle of the diamond someplace.
Cron is tight at first. This one will not be deep enough. Popped up right near the second base bag, and Petit puts it away. Gomez won't be happy with that one. 2 away. And now Weaver's nemesis, Nomar Mazara. Nomar singled in the first inning to extend his dominance, such that it is against Jared Weaver.
Yeah, 4 for 7 against him now. That's with a home run. That's pretty impressive.
Yep. Batting second in the order today, Ian Desmond gets the day off. And Jeff Bannister making the obvious observation that Desmond has logged more time out there this year than anyone in a Rangers uniform. Mazara off the end of the bat, little squibber, tough play. Escobar, and his only play is the plate, and it's not in time. Profar tumbles in there, and it's a 2-1 ball game. And Mazara has an RBI single.
Now, what do they say? You take what they give you, and he did. Escobar was in a little bit, but way off the line. And the only play that he had, it was a heady play by Escobar, to think about that on the way in. The only play he had was a home. Mazara was going to beat that out had he thrown to first base. Escobar right there said, whoa, I think I better make that throw home. And by the time he came up throwing, And Profar was between him and the catcher.
So a run on the board now for the Rangers. Beltran struck out in the first inning. If you're Jared Weaver, you'd be talking to yourself and waking up in the middle of the night seeing visions of Nomar Mazara. A big 6'7" right-hander, 210 pounds. He burrows one in there. They count 0-2. Weaver now 33 years old. Former first-round pick, 12th overall back in 2004. And he gets Beltran swinging to win the inning. Rangers get a run, couple of hits, leave a man. And now let's go to Aaron Hardigan in our Rooms to Go lounge. Angels with the 1-run lead, and Jeffrey Marte will start things off. Marte, Cron, and Gregorio Petit in this 4th inning. Final game of this 3-game series. Angels heading to Houston. Rangers with an off day tomorrow. They'll use that to travel out to Oakland. Marte struck out in the 2nd inning, 0 for 1. And Holland wants to get that tempo up a little bit, it appears. Ready to go right after him. 1-1 the count. Clean first inning, and has had to work around a little bit of trouble the last 2 frames. Off-speed stuff's getting some swings and misses, though. 1-2 on Marte. For Holland to start today, it's been exactly 1 week since he was last out on the mound. Marte lifts it into shallow center. Odor will handle it, and that is out number 1. Well, a moment ago we had a chance to catch up with Jeff Bannister. Thanks for joining us, Jeff. Tonight, Derek Holland, what's your feeling so far, what you've seen from him?
Well, we've seen some good pitches from him. Got a couple sinker balls up that they put in play. Gave up a couple runs, but for the most part, he's got some pitchability right now. He's got some swing and miss with a slider. If we can get that fastball in there for some quality strikes, he can get that slider in there for swing and miss. He should be able to manage this game well for us.
Jeff, I know the first job for you is to wrap up the division. First things first. Also, though, going down this time of year, is it important to get key guys that have played a lot of games a little bit of rest?
Absolutely. Ian Desmond being one of those guys tonight. He's played more than anybody for us. So we need to get him off his legs, get 2 days for him, and down the stretch here, we're going to get some key guys off their legs, try to rest them up and keep their energy level high.
All right, Benny. Also, a couple of big outs on the bases already for your guys, and that has managed to keep this one nice and close.
Yes, it has. Carlos Beltran with a great throw from right field, and then LUCROY with the attempted stolen base there, with a great runner, a great stolen base guy, and a tremendous throw.
All right, quit messing around with us. Get back to work.
All right, thanks.
All right, now, well, Jeff Bannister. Guy's got some other stuff to do every now and then. Meanwhile, Holland with a couple of quick outs. Marte the pop-up, Cron on the comebacker. And rushes one past Petit. Gregorio Petit had the RBI single in the second inning. Angels with 5 hits so far tonight off Holland. This one out to Carlos Beltran. A lot of room in that corner, and it's a 1-2-3 for Derek Holland. So another nice comeback inning for him. To the bottom of the fourth, we go in a 1-run game. Friday, September 30th, courtesy of Big Green Egg. Come support the Rangers as they play the Tampa Bay Rays. Use coupon code FIREWORKS to get upper level tickets for just $14 at texasrangers.com/specials. Well, he's all suited up, ready to go. I mean, if we need somebody, I think.
Well, they expanded the rosters. Maybe we can get him on there.
It's that time of year you got to take a look at some of the young players, see what you have. Here's one of the veteran players, ADRIAN Beltre, leading off the fourth. ADRIAN popped up in the first inning. Our TXU Energy power player to watch. Last 4 years against Jared Weaver, he's pretty much had the advantage. This one headed foul. 1-2 on ADRIAN. There's nobody else doing quite that level of damage against Jared Weaver. Big right-hander's pitch. Beltre will earn another. Well, ADRIAN very straightforward and outspoken about it today. Anything less than a World Series championship would be a disappointment to him, and he feels, and it is an opinion shared in that clubhouse, that this team is built for it. Wow.
Wind him up, let him go. Spinning around.
That's about as quick as we've seen him drop to that knee.
Yeah.
Hammers that one though. Base it into left. It's an easy game.
Well, you know, from a pitcher standpoint, you see a guy swing like that, fall down on one knee. You said there's no way in the world he's going to hit a pitch up a little bit, you know? And you throw it up there, and he tomahawks it like he's chopping wood. Smacks a line drive about 290 feet to left field on a frozen rope out there. That's amazing.
He is he's a special hitter. I think we can say that. We've met Odor. So let's see if we can combine the Wayback Machine with current day. Buzz, what would you do if you had to face Adrian Beltre? How would you pitch him?
Well, I don't think he can stay in any one area, for one thing, because he covers the plate when he wants to. He covers the various parts of the plate when he wants to. If I had to, there's a pitch that he swung that breaking ball there right down the middle. Then you throw one that starts in the same place. He says, no, I'll just take that one. Right on top of it. If there's one pitch from a right-hander, I think it would be a hard slider if you had to get him to swing at one pitch of yours. But if you threw enough of them, he'd be right on him. You know, you couldn't just stay there at one. But I think with him, I'd save that hard slider until I needed to have him either swing and miss or put it in play softly.
Yeah, so you're trying to sneak it in at the end.
You almost have to pitch him backwards in a lot of situations. And what I mean by that, you get the walk, is in obvious breaking ball situations, 0-1, 1-2, you go with a fastball and you try to run it off the plate inside to it. You get it to a fastball situation, 2-0, 3-1, you go ahead and throw a breaking ball. Sometimes, if he's, you know, if you haven't seen him a lot, and you can get him to take it. But there's no guarantee that on any given pitch he's not just going to run up there and smack it somewhere. I've seen him do that too often.
Well, he's at second now, and Odor is at first. So Beltre representing the tying run. We're only in the bottom of the fourth inning. And Jonathan Lucroy, who grounded out in the second inning, steps in right side against the veteran Jared Weaver. Lucroy 3 for his last 17. It's over a 6-game stretch. He was 1 for 2 last night with a double. He was walked intentionally. Also hit by a pitch. In fact, we had a lot of guys hit by pitches in last night's game. 0-2 the count on Lucroy, ultimately resulting in the ejections of Mike Scioscia and Brett Oberholzer, right-hander for the Angels. There's Scioscia. 17 years now, the manager of these Angels. And that is a long run in one place. A bouncer left side of the infield. Simmons to second for one. The relay to first won't be in time. He's tough to double up. It can be done, but Lucroy does get down the line pretty quickly and keeps himself out of that double play. So on via the fielder's choice. 5-4, the force out at second. Rangers have him on the corners with 1 out.
Well, fortunately, slowly enough hit that once Simmons got to the ball, he had to get rid of it very quickly, and you really had no chance. Jonathan able to get down the line quick enough, but that was not a double play ground ball, and Rangers now with runners at the corners and 1 out.
Well, Mitch Moreland, who flied out to center field in the second inning. Two 2-1 Angels lead. They have led in every game in this series. And strike 1 on Mitch. Talking about Mike Scioscia though, and his run with the Angels. His 17 years now in Anaheim. It ties him with Sparky Anderson. Anderson went 17 straight with the Detroit Tigers, 1979 to 95. It's the second longest run in American League history. second only to Connie Mack. And he might have a little trouble getting to Connie, who did 50 years with the A's. Let's see, Scioscia. Yeah. Yeah, when we talk about those unbreakable records, Buzz, Connie Mack has one.
Yeah, I think it's a save for a while.
2-strike pitch to Moreland.
Well, he was part owner too, wasn't he?
Right.
Of the A's?
Yes, he was.
And that kind of guaranteed that he was going to be there as long as he wanted to.
It made it easier.
Yeah. Yeah. Go in and see the owner and have tea with himself.
Yeah. Connie Mack, he was at the guy in the suit with the rolled up program. Simmons picks up the grounder, steps on the bag, throws to first, and they do get the double play eventually. Leadoff single, but the Rangers can't get him home. And soon we go to the 5th inning. Derek Holland out to keep doing his thing tonight. He's retired 4 in a row. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today for incredible deals and see why Ford is the best in Texas. Well, we're 4 innings in tonight. Angels with the 2-1 lead. And Derek Holland after a perfect 4th inning. This is into Carlos Perez to start the 5th inning. It'll be Perez, then Shane Robinson, the 8 and 9 hitters, before we go back up top again for Yunel Escobar. And it's 2-0. Rangers magic number at 2 coming into today, trying to clinch the American League West Division. Bouncer third base, and that one gets right through Jurickson Profar. Looked like he was in front of it, but just split his legs. And so the error allows Perez to reach to start the 5th inning.
Yep, Jurickson coming up just before. He never got down, to be quite honest. I thought he had gotten down, then come up, but he just never got down far enough. Never got his glove down to begin with. And the ball stayed down and right between the wickets.
Not happy about that. Perez at first. Corners are in. Middle of the infield. Double play depth for Shane Robinson. And he's going to bunt. Pops it up to Profar, who makes a diving catch. There you go. That's how you make up for it.
Got a good jump. Saw the recognized bunt. And then laid out for it. Came up with a nice play by Profar. Presence of mind to bounce up and check the runner at first, make sure he wasn't going anyplace. Nice job, Jurickson.
He's had a busy night down there at third already. So one gone. And here's Yunel Escobar, who hits into a lot of double plays. 21, in fact. Today, 1 for 2.
You need to get those pitches down if you want him to hit the ball on the ground. And not too many pitches up there is he going to ground out on.
Holland's 1 strike offering. And up again. Now there you see Escobar has done it a lot. The Angels as a team have done it more than any other team in baseball. 142 times this year they've rolled into double plays. 1-1. And he's fallen behind Yunel Escobar now.
Yeah, one of the downfalls of making good contact, that's what Escobar does. He makes a lot of contact. Doesn't swing and miss a whole lot. Is that you're going to hit some balls that most other people would not. And a lot of those are going to be hit weakly and get turned into double plays more than others.
Just a courtesy look over there at Perez, who is not a threat to run.
Hot zone anywhere across the middle of the strike zone.
Now Holland taking a little time getting ready. Escobar has been pretty patient. Those two have gone back and forth a little bit tonight. There have been some moments where Escobar's felt like the wait's been too long. And it's now 3-1.
Now, I know it sounds like a broken record, but when you have Mike Trout on deck, you do not walk the people in front of him. That's playing right into Mike Scioscia's hands, right into Mike Trout's hands.
Escobar, one of the top hitters in the American League against lefties, and the 3-1 pitch, that's going to put him on. So it forces Perez to second. Escobar on via the walk. And indeed, we'll get Mike Trout to the plate. And you see Jeff Bannister communicating with his bullpen already. Holland, to his credit, allowed 3 hits in the second inning, but only 1 run scored. A couple of hits and a walk in the third inning, but only 1 run scored. So he has been in trouble a couple of times already tonight and found his way out of it. Well, found his way out of it anyway without major damage having been done. But it's the type of fire you don't really want to play with a whole lot, especially with Trout and Pujols, the men do. Say LeClerc gets ready out there in right field. Trout has struck out and walked tonight. And it's 1-1. And that one a wake-up call for a couple of the Angels.
Ooh, those would be fallen angels over there.
Trout, a guy who does not hit into double plays. In fact,
no.
It's almost 130 at bats between double plays for Trout. This ball hit high in the air, very deep left field. MAZARA not going to have room. A 3-run homer for Mike Trout. And that, a big moment in this game, opens it up for the Angels 5-1.
Hey, you'd gotten him once in the breaking ball. You walked him when he laid off the breaking ball, and that one was too good for him to lay off of. Down on the inner part of the plate. One of the hot zones for Mike Trout. Low and in, and he loves that one.
And nowhere for MAZARA to go. So Empty now for Pujols, only one out in the inning.
Yeah, I'm surprised that's only 321 down there. It's right next door to 400, which is pretty rough neighborhood.
2-0 the count.
103.8 going up the chute, and at a launch angle of about 90 degrees. Straight up.
And Doug Brocail out to slow things down a little bit here for Holland. Yeah, that's a pretty good exit velocity, and to your point, that thing was hit straight up.
They had to stop all the aircraft going by to wait for that thing to come down.
Pujols 1 for 2 tonight, and it's a 3-0 count. Andrelton Simmons awaits on deck. It is the biggest lead the Angels have had in this series. Sharp bouncer, but Elvis Andrus is there, and that is the second out of the inning. So Pujols swinging 3-0. And a gift for Derek Holland. Angels, by the way, they came into play today, 65 wins, 86 losses. Last place in the West Division, 24.5 games out of first place. And Simmons hits it high in the air out to right field. Beltran is there, and the inning is done. But a 3-run homer by Mike Trout has stretched it out for the Angels. They lead by 4. Saturday home game of the season. Well, the first 15,000 fans to the ballpark Saturday, October 1st. Get a Colby Lewis bobblehead courtesy of Kroger. So come support the Rangers. Get your tickets, TexasRangers.com, or by calling 972 Rangers. Breaking ball to Elvis Andrus, and it's in there for strike 1. Elvis grounded out in the 3rd inning. As Weaver works quickly. Count 0-2. Kubota power stats. Jared Weaver's been pitching well lately here. A 1.8 earned run average and a 153 batting average against. Whereas, and you were mentioning earlier that, you know, over the long haul, his numbers here have not been that impressive.
No, that bottom line would tell you that.
Yeah.
6.40 ERA. That was the highest average ERA that he had at that point against anybody.
2-2 to Andrews. That one just missed him. And we pointed out earlier, this would be the highest earned run average for a season in Weaver's career. Full count now. He's at 517 coming in. But lately seems to have gotten into a bit of a rhythm. Not quite on the level of what Elvis Andrus has been doing lately. And Elvis not alone. When you start looking at some of the superlatives over the last week or two for a lot of these Rangers hitters, you can trot out a lot of pretty impressive lines. Breaking ball, and this one is popped up but fouling out of play. Elvis, you know, the numbers have been good lately, and the situations in which he has come up with big hits have been quite notable. I think of games in Houston, the other night here, Monday, the walk-off. Seems like lately he's right in the thick of those ninth-inning rallies, and he takes a walk to start this fifth inning.
Yeah, and Elvis is, as we've talked about, and Mike Socha would agree with it too, having his best year all the way around as a Ranger. This is his 8th full year in the big leagues. He is really coming into his own now. It's great to see. He's very much turning into a leader on this ball club, and looks to be the heir apparent whenever Adrian decides to hang him up. Adrian will, or Elvis will be right there to step in and take over for him.
Still running the bases very well. 23 steals this year. And Profar at the left side takes ball 1. 23 steals. He's been caught 8 times. And again, just like a lot of the numbers with the bat, the base running numbers have been getting better and better for Andrus as the season has worn on. 2-0 to Jurickson Profar. Elvis successful in 12 of his last 14 stolen base attempts. Right now the Rangers need to start accumulating some base runners so they can cut into that 5-1 Angels lead. One right in there. It's 2-1 to Profar. Profar has delivered the best struck ball tonight by a Ranger. That was in the 3rd inning when he banged it off the wall out there in right center field. And then the angle of the wall shot it right back past Mike Trout, and he ended up with a triple. Quicker move that time for Andrus. Yeah, here it is. This is 2 innings ago. Off the bat, might have had a shot, it looked like, and then whoa.
Yeah, the curse of having so much speed, Mike Trout just outran the sensibility coverage that he had. Got too close to the wall.
Runner going. Pitches outside. Throw to second. Not in time. And Andrus with another stolen base. 24th of the year.
Elvis picking his spots, and I think that, you know, once he saw that Jared Weaver wasn't paying as much attention to him as he fell behind in the count, Elvis decided, fine, he's going to make it fairly easy for me. I'm going to swipe second. Well, great shots there. Right down on the bag, showing you the action down at dirt top level. Look at that stuff. Flying up and tagged that pretty close right there.
Oh, yeah. He beat that by
fingernail.
Yeah. We've had some spectacular pictures out there at second base. And there's been a lot of interesting plays out there.
Nobody does it better than the group we have here in Arlington. Cameramen and production folks. The best in baseball.
Now man in scoring position for Profar, and it's a full count. Weaver already at 72 pitches for the night, so he's had to work a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's running out of gas just a little bit too. He dropped the anchor here in this inning. Working very, very slow.
Here's the payoff. And oh my, strike 3 called on Profar. So 1 gone.
Now that target set inside right on the corner, and Weaver threw that comeback fastball that just started off a little inside. That's not the first one of those, though, that Jurickson so far has seen. And he looked like he was completely surprised when he saw that one.
So 1 gone for Carlos Gomez. 0 for 2 so far tonight. And lifts it down that right side. Coming in for Robinson. And he gets there. 2 gone. Time for us to find John Radigan for a Chevy game break.
Left fielder, NOMAR, MAZARA.
Wow. Thanks, John.
That's bordering on the absurd.
Yeah, that is. 19 home runs. That can't be. When he got the call up and hit whatever it was, you know, 5 home runs in the first 6 games or
6 in his first 10.
Okay, yeah, 6 in his first 10. Yeah. I thought that is wow. You know, it's amazing. Get your attention, and then you figure baseball will happen, and he'll settle in. And I suppose that may well happen at some point. MAZARA with a bouncer right side, and that one through. Heading around third is Andrus. He'll score. How about MAZARA finding all kinds of ways?
Weaver has no answer for MAZARA. Even when he gets him to hit a ground ball relatively close to an infielder, it takes a hop that's unplayable. And it looked like Petit had this completely under control and got right back past the lip of that outfield grass. It didn't hit it, but I think it might have distracted him a bit. He expected maybe a lower bounce on the ball, and it came up, went off the heel of his glove. And they're going to rule that a base hit.
So 3 for 3 tonight. NOMAR is driven in both Rangers runs. First pitch to BELTRAN down in the dirt for a ball. Tough night so far for Carlos. A couple of strikeouts against Weaver. And he'll go after this one. Heading toward the seats, foul, and it is. The count 1-1. There's no room over there for PEREZ. But BELTRAN, oddly enough, has not seen a whole lot of Jared Weaver in his career. As long as both those guys have been around, you figure they would have some extensive history with one another. Carlos actually has had very good numbers, 3 for 8 with a couple of homers against Weaver. But he's in a hole here, 1-2.
Yeah, and this is a totally different Jared Weaver than even if he'd seen him before a lot. And this is no resemblance to the Weaver of 3 or 4 years ago. Still a quality pitcher, but he's just a different kind of pitcher.
Well, he's on 149 career wins, trying to become just the second Angel ever to 150. And just missed right there with what looked like a pretty quality pitch to BELTRAN. 2-2 the count.
Seniority won out on that one.
So Now 80 pitches in for Weaver. Carlos fights off another one. The all-time wins list in Angels history. And Nolan Ryan 138. Weaver passed him up this year. Well, they were tied going into this year, and now Chuck Finley, the only man ahead of him. And he and Finley will be the only in franchise history with 150 when he gets it. This one hit well out to right field, and it is gone. Beltran's third career home run against Jared Weaver. Just like that, a one-run game.
And back come the Rangers again. This is Mike Scioscia saying, you know, I've heard this story before, and I didn't like the way it turned out before, and I certainly am not going to like it if it does it again. But Ranger fans are getting pretty used to this in this ballpark, especially. And as it always happens, one of the guys that came over at the trade deadline gets it done. Either Jonathan Lucroy, or in this case, Carlos Beltran. Finally got a breaking ball that stayed up for him, just enough to get a little backspin on it.
Adrian Beltre pops this one up behind the plate. Perez able to squeeze it. So as quickly as it happened, the inning now over, but a two-run homer by Carlos Beltran has made it a game again. 5-4 as we go to the sixth.
Welcome back to Globe Light Park. This is a scene before the game. The Fox Sports Fan Express rolling in from Big D on hand. It's the Fin and Skin Show, 105.3 The Fan. And I mean, they filled half the ballpark here tonight. We also have KT in the house, right? Right, KT, JT? There we go. All right. All right. Hey, how was that bus ride over? You guys having a good time?
Oh, we're having a great time. In fact, we found Emily Reppert here. She's rolling with the crew tonight. But look, let's be honest. I mean, the Rangers are all about their history. We hope for a really long playoff run. And there's no better part of Ranger history than our own Ben Rogers.
Ben.
His uncle Kenny Rogers, of course, great pitcher, and then wrote the famous song.
You got to know when to hold 'em.
Oh, there we go.
Know when to fold 'em.
Got the whole
Know when to walk away. Know when to run. You never count your money.
All right. I think that's going to go on the rest of the game, Dave. You guys keep singing. Sounds great.
When the dealing's done.
Yeah.
Making the
There we go.
Noxie. Well, Jeffrey Marte leading off the sixth inning for the Angels. Jose Leclerc has come on to pitch. This ball rifled down that left field line and into the corner. MAZARA with a quick turn back to second base, but it's a leadoff double from Marte. in the 6th inning.
First baseman CJ.
Now Marte turned it around to high fastball. Got in on the inside part of the plate. Right up at the top of that strike zone. And he was able to get on top of it. And the leadoff double. And puts Jose Leclerc in a little bit of a rough spot here to start this inning. Jeff Bannister hoped Leclerc could come in and put up a 0 on that scoreboard and get him back to the dugout. 9th appearance for Leclerc. This is his 2nd tour of duty with the Rangers this year, a .261 ERA and a .200 opponent's batting average prior to that double.
See if he can work around that double now as he goes after C.J. Cron. 1 for 2 tonight. Holland went 5 and allowed 5 runs on 6 hits. That one in there to make it 1-1 on C.J. Cron. But the Rangers with a 3-run bottom of the 5th inning made it a 1-run game, and that's where you come back and you look for the as we like to call it, the shutdown inning. It's a big part, a big job for whomever it is it's on to pitch. Make sure you get the other team back out on the field quickly. And it's 1-2.
Yeah, I want to note that one of those runs that Derek Holland gave up was unearned. One of the 3 runs in the 5th inning.
Tanner Scheppers loosening up behind Leclerc. Bullpen has been outstanding in this series against the Angels. They have made a combined 8 appearances and allowed 1 unearned run so far. So the pen has done its job, giving the offense a chance in both cases, Monday and Tuesday night, to come back and win the game. Now, the offense waited until the 9th inning on Monday to win it in their last at bat, whereas last night they did it in the middle innings. Check swing, and it's 2-2 on C.J. Cron. Well, after this game, the Rangers will head out for their final road trip, and it's just 3 games over the weekend in Oakland. Rangers cannot clinch the division outright tonight, but they can't get their magic number down to 1. Breaking ball, and that one fought off. Bullpen overall also working on some interesting potential records. They're chasing down the 53 Dodgers, who had 41 wins out of the bullpen, which is a major league record. Just 2 more needed by this year's Rangers team to tie that record. And a swing and a miss. Cron down on strikes. 1 away in the 6th inning.
Well, Leclerc has that combination of a changeup that acts like a breaking ball, goes both ways for him actually, and then a better than average fastball, 94, 95, and when he elevates that after the changeup, you see the problems that C.J. Cron had. Cron's a pretty good fastball hitter. Not many guys that are under 7'5" are going to have much luck there.
So that one rushed right past him, and Rafael Ortega has been announced as the pinch hitter here for Gregorio Petit. And that'll get Brocail out to make sure that everybody understands how to go after Ortega here.
Yeah, all the pitchers get together the first day of a series and go over the scouting reports and devise their own individual game plans. Doug Brocail making sure that after the 3rd game of the series, or during the 3rd game, that Jose Leclerc has his mind refreshed on how they wanted to work to Ortega.
Now working in a 1-run game with Marte out behind him at second base. Ortega at the left side of the plate, and that one skipped up to him. Yesterday Ortega had the start in right field, went 1 for 5. We saw him late in the game on Monday. You can see the offensive numbers not very impressive for Ortega this year. But a guy who provides some pretty good defense. Can run a little bit. And it's 1-1. There's one of those changeups you were talking about.
Yep. First few times I saw it, I swear it was a slider. I mean, it had that kind of look to it, and the hitter swung at it like it was a slider. But Jose said, "No, that's my changeup." So I can make it go the other way sometimes. And I'm much more comfortable making it go to my glove side, but it goes the other way sometimes.
1-1.
Like that one.
Yeah. And that kept going. 2-1 the count. A moment ago, they flashed those pinch hitting numbers for Ortega on the screen. 3 for 6. It's a tough gig. Pinch hitting about as hard as it gets. And those are really impressive numbers for Ortega. There's a fastball away, 3-1. League average for pinch hitting is under 200. It's 190 and change. So when you have a guy who can, again, it's a small sample size in his case, but it does give you the idea that he's a guy who handles the situation pretty well. It's worked the count to his favor here, and he draws the walk. So he is on. And the Angels have a couple of base runners in the 6th inning.
As far as Ortega, pinch hitting, yeah, he is a good enough hitter, and he runs, pinch hitting 500. He could probably run 300 just on his own. So, you factor that in. For a pinch hitter, that's a big weapon.
Well, Jeff Bannister, it appears, has seen enough. So that's going to be all for Jose Leclerc, and he'll leave with a couple of men out there, 1 out in this 6th inning. Rangers trailing by a run. Tanner Shepard's coming on. We'll tell you all about him when we return. Postseason tickets, folks. Just visit TexasRangers.com/seasons. Place a deposit on your 2017 season tickets. And then don't miss out on any of the thrilling Rangers action of this postseason. Go to TexasRangers.com/seasons today. A whole lot of time left. Tanner Shepard has come on here in the 6th inning.
Tanner in for his 7th appearance, and the Rangers have run him out there in every kind of situation they could possibly think of. They needed to find out where exactly Tanner Shepard was and his progress coming back from the knee injury, and see if he can be available to help them in postseason, on down the stretch and into postseason. So far, he's responded extremely well. Came in last night and got Albert Pujols with the bases loaded in a critical 8th inning at bat. So, again, late game situations, he's had just about as much success as you would hope for.
I mean, every time they bring him in, we use the term high leverage.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Pretty much.
His spots have been pretty key. 2-0 to Carlos Perez, who today is 0 for 2, reached on an error to start the 5th inning. And he popped up in the 2nd. It's a 1-run game. But the Angels have Marte at 2nd and Ortega at 1st. Angels have been pretty good in these spots. It just missed.
Now, that's the one thing that makes it difficult when you come to a ball game, is if you fall behind right away. Having to pitch from down on the count is not fun.
Well, Perez take it all the way, gets the strike that time. It's 3-1. Shane Robinson, the man due next. So Shepard's trying to work out of Leclerc's mess here, and a bouncer wide of 3rd makes it a full count. There's so many intriguing names, intriguing players on this Rangers team, and the contributions they've made down the stretch and what they represent when this team ultimately gets to the postseason. Shepard really has put himself right at the top of that list, and his pickoff throw sails into center. Runners will both advance on the error by Tanner Shepard. Oops. Well, that eliminates the potential double play.
Yeah, that might be asking a little too much of yourself. You come into a ball game, you're focused on trying to get a hitter, and then you put on a pickoff play. I'm not really much in favor of doing that when you first enter the ball game. If you've been in there for a while, that's fine, but that's asking an awful lot of yourself as a relief pitcher.
So now the infield all up on the edge of the grass, and the 3-2. Bases are loaded. Now the walk to Perez, and the situation has gotten a little crazier now for Shepard. So we'll get a visit from Elvis and Jonathan Lucroy. We'll just try and calm him down a little bit. Shepard, I mentioned, an intriguing character, because here's a guy who, you know, we've been without all year, and shows up September 6th. Has a chance to work about a month, and looks like a guy who can really be a very big and important pitcher out of that bullpen when the postseason rolls around. Cliff Pennington will hit for Shane Robinson. And did he go around? They want an appeal. No. Pat Hobart says he held back. Pennington, you see, 1 for 7 as a pinch hitter. That's a lot more normal, or what you'd be accustomed to seeing. Foul off to the left side, and it's 1-1. I would think for Shepard too, this would represent quite the opportunity for him. A guy who really didn't take up pitching till very, very late in high school. He had already signed to go to Fresno State. He was going to be a Bulldog, and then as a great shortstop. But then late in his high school career, tinkered with some pitching, and they said, geez, he's pretty good. Foul ball makes it 1-2 on Pennington. Once he got to Fresno State, the Bulldogs kind of had to reshape him a little bit. Bobby Jones, not our Bobby Jones, but the former Met, one-time first-round draft pick out of Fresno State himself. He's the guy who took Shepard from really a side-arming, almost submarining right-hander to a more traditional delivery. Runners everywhere here. The 1-2. Just wide.
Well, Tanner back in 2013 worked himself into one of the best 8th inning men in Major League Baseball. He really had a good live fastball, 96, 97, sometimes going up to 98 plus. And he did a great job then in that failed attempt at becoming a starter, and he just hasn't recovered from it since.
2-2. And he got him swinging. Big strikeout of Pennington. And that's what the power arm provides.
Yeah, a little elevation on the fastball, and Pennington just not able to get on top of it. Not a strike, but it had enough late movement that Pennington couldn't take a chance.
So 2 gone, and now it's Yunel Escobar. Bases still loaded. Shepard's leaning on the fastball. He missed the postseason runs in 10 and 11 with the Rangers. He comes a little bit in on Escobar. Was hurt last year, and even in college, that's one of the things for Shepard. He got hurt his junior year, and that was the year Fresno State went to the College World Series. So he's missed those big trips for the excitement. This year comes back just in time. Bouncer, left side of the infield. Long throw for Elvis Andrus. In time. Tanner Shepard wiggles off the hook in the 6th inning. A strikeout and a ground out. And he leaves them loaded. To the last of the 6th we go in a 1-run game. Time for the Sonic Slam inning, brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot worth $400 and dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. The Ranger hits a home run this inning. Michael Mata of El Paso will win $400. If a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, well, Michael wins $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Bottom of the 6th in a 1-run game, and Rougned Odor takes a strike from Jared Weaver. It'll be Odor, Jonathan Lucroy, and Mitch Moreland in the 6th. Rougned walked his last time up. Look out. Right near his shoe tops. Not able to laugh about it. Of course, Weaver doesn't really throw hard enough to do a whole lot of damage to anybody regardless, but moving Odor's feet.
Yeah, you get hit on the ankle by an 84-mile-an-hour fastball. That's not going to feel very good.
Coming in again, and it's 2-1. Well, the Rangers got their first run in the third. They added 3 in the 5th inning. And Carlos Beltran with a big home run to right field, the key hit in that inning. 3 balls and a strike to Odor. You said last inning looked like Weaver might be tiring a little bit. And if he gets into trouble in the 6th inning, it might be a quick 6th inning for him. Pop foul, and it's a full count. Take a look at our Ford leaderboard. Home runs allowed, that's right, 37 for Weaver, including the one tonight. And that is a massive number. Josh Tomlin's close, but then it's a pretty big drop off from there. The payoff to Odor. He'll get another one. Rugi recently off one of those stretches where he was just pounding home run after home run. Hit 6 home runs in 6 games that first week of September. And he takes strike 3. So he's down looking to start the 6th inning. And credit that guy. Weaver really battled back.
Yeah, 5th strikeout for Weaver. 2nd time he's gotten a called 3rd strike on that comeback fastball. Just coming back to the inside corner. One of the at-bats that Rougned Odor saw a lot of pitches and still didn't come out on top.
So with one gone, here's LUCROY. And a big curve in there for a strike. .294 average, and this time both with Milwaukee and with the Rangers. Almost 70% of the time it's something other than a fastball for Jared Weaver.
Yeah, that's that challenging part we were talking about. Challenging guys with the off-speed pitch. And he dares you to hit that ball. He's going to throw you a strike with it, with a curveball, with a change-up, and he'll even change speeds on the curveball at times. And he said, here's what I've got with me. Let's see what you can do with it.
Used to have a lot more in that arm, a lot more velocity. And he puts it on the outside corner. He's painting now. Back-to-back strikeouts, both looking. And just when we thought he might be tiring, it looks like he's settling into a groove all of a sudden.
Right where Perez put that glove. Didn't move it a hair. We'll see if Mitch is able to make the adjustments. Mitch has been out in front, out in his front foot a lot tonight. See if he can stay back a little bit against him.
Weaver's first offering, that ball hammered out to center field, but Trout has room, and he's asking for a little more room. But Marte crowded him a little bit. Trout made the play nonetheless. And it's a 1-2-3 for Weaver. We'll go to the 7th, 5-4 Angels. Our four-game summary. Let's pick it up in the fifth inning. At the time, 3-1. And Mike Trout with that blast into left field made it 5-1. Nomar Mazara with his third hit of the night off of Jared Weaver. Snuck that one through in the fifth. And then the next at bat, Carlos Beltran out into the right field bleachers. Two-run homer, capping a three-run rally and making it the 5-4 score that we have now as we begin playing the seventh inning. Shepard's out after completing the sixth. And as if that wasn't high leverage enough, he'll go after Mike Trout with Albert Pujols waiting on deck to start the activity here in the seventh. Trout was caught stealing third base earlier tonight, and a high chopper to Profar down at third. One out in this seventh inning. That's a big out. No guarantee Trout gets back up again tonight. He's now Albert Pujols, 1 for 3. Heads to home plate. Pujols, that one hit was an RBI single in the third inning, tied him with Frank Robinson, 20th all time on the RBI list. And he sends this one to center field. Back goes Gomez, and he makes the play. 2 out. And Alex Claudio getting ready out there.
Shortstop Andrelton Simmons.
Well, Tanner, after that little blip walking the first guy that he faced and throwing one away at second base, he's really set in nicely. Got a huge strikeout of Cliff Pennington. And then he's gotten 2 ground balls and a fly ball.
That one on the inside corner for a strike to Andrelton Simmons. Octor loosening up out there for the Angels. Might well be on in the bottom of the seventh. Breaking ball, and this one lifted into medium deep center. Carlos Gomez, routine play. It's a 1-2-3 for Tanner Shepard as he continues to sparkle. They'll stand and stretch here tonight. 5-4 Angels. Our greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. And Corey Kluber with 9 punch-outs tonight against the Royals. He's at 224 for the season, and that's 3 years in a row for him with 200 or better. Speaking of 200 or better, the Cubs with a run differential of 235 in the positive direction. That's the highest in the big leagues since 2001. Mariners at 300, Oakland 239. How about the modern day record of plus 411 of the 1939 Yankees? A.J. Ochter has come on in the bottom of the 7th for the Angels.
Yeah, we saw Ochter on Monday night, worked a third of, or 2/3 of an inning, and this is 23rd appearance of the year for the Angels. League hitting .310 against him, and he gave up a couple of hits in his inning of work on Monday night. Rangers couldn't push a run across. We'll see if tonight's different.
So he is on for Jared Weaver. New look now for this Rangers lineup, and the count 1-1 to Elvis Andrus. He has walked and scored a run. Also grounded out back in the 3rd. Batting 8th tonight. Lately has primarily been in the 9th spot in the order. It's one high in the air to center, but not deep enough. Trout is there, and there's one gone in the 7th inning. Time for a Chevy game break. Let's check in with John Radigan.
Third baseman, Jurickson, Profar.
They're going to run away and hide in that American League East. That came in with a 4-game lead over the Blue Jays and 5 over the Orioles. Profar 1 for 2 tonight with that triple. Rangers trailing by a run. And Ochter buries it. 1-1 the count. The wild card race in the American League coming into play today. Toronto and Baltimore. The two controlling the wild cards. And Detroit, Houston, Seattle, they're the legitimate contenders. I say that, but New York was only 3.5 out coming into play today, so I think you have to keep them in the conversation.
Yeah, Detroit now just their game is being delayed by rain, but they're only 1 game behind Baltimore after Baltimore's loss. With a win, they could make it just a half game behind in that wild card.
Well, and Houston won earlier today. So the Astros.
Yeah.
There you see it. So this is up to the minute. Detroit and Houston a game back, and Detroit's game, as Buzz mentioned, in a delay. 2-2 pitch. And then you got to start looking at their schedules too to figure out who might have an advantage. Seattle, despite some tough turns of events lately, they're still only 2 back.
Yep.
So you've got a lot of traffic out there with inside basically 10 games to play. Teams with 3 series remaining each. It's a general rule. Pop up on the left side of the infield. Simmons takes care of it. 2 out here in the bottom of the 7th inning. So Toronto, as an example, they have 4 at home against the Yankees. Then Baltimore after that for 3 games, and they finish with 3 at Boston, which that's no cakewalk for the Blue Jays. Baltimore will be at home tonight. They had Boston, as you know, but then they will have Arizona for 3, and then they will go to Toronto for 3 and to New York for 3. So they've got a tough stretch. Bouncer, third base. Yeah, nice clean pick by Yunel Escobar, and boy, Ochter quickly and quietly takes care of the Rangers in the bottom of the 7th. We go to the 8th in a 5-4 game.
Steve and Buzz time for the Progressive Fan of the Game. We got to give it to Tony and Kathy celebrating their 42nd anniversary tonight with their grandson sitting next to them and their daughter. And Tony, you could have gone anywhere. Why here at the ballpark?
I love baseball. What better in the summer? And it's a great team. Great team.
Awesome. Well, I tell you what, give us a tip for staying married so long.
Do whatever your wife tells you.
I like that tip. There you go. There's the back. Y'all split that. Don't forget. All right. Congratulations. Happy anniversary. Anything else you like to say?
Rangers. What's that?
Anything else?
Go Rangers.
There we go. All right. Appreciate it, Tony. Happy anniversary, buddy.
Well, first pitch here in the 8th inning, rolled to Profar, and a good throw. And better pick over at first by Moreland. Really tough play to come across the bag in front of the runner Marte. But that is out number 1 in the 8th inning.
Boy, Mitch with his glove work and his footwork around the bag, saving errors by the droves for Ranger infielders. They'll tell you that Mitch is as good as anybody around that bag at first. Fancy footwork going into foul territory. And Jurickson kind of got underneath that, threw a little sailor over there to him. Mitch said, that's no problem, I got it.
Sheppers, who continues to toil tonight. He has retired 6 in a row. Pumps one into C.J. Cron, who is 1 for 3. And shoots this one to Moreland with a leaping grab. There you go.
Did I mention his hops when I was talking about that? I don't think I did. He got some hops over there, too. Mitch at 6'3" or 6'4" going up, and he needed every inch of that. Going up with that big glove of his. Yeah, a little bit of a smile. Okay. Ruggia do what to say to it. Watch this. Whoa. Like a big power forward wiping the boards clean.
That's a great athletic play, and it's such a great quick reaction. And how about the effort of Tanner Sheppers? They'll hear it from the fans. What a night in relief for the right-hander. He's done. Alex Claudio coming on, and we'll be back in a moment. TV Premium. You watch every out-of-market game live in HD on more than 400 supported devices and enjoy a free subscription to AT Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv. And do it now, like she's doing. 2 out here. Alex Claudio on for Tanner Sheppers. Ooh. Well, tight to Ortega for a ball.
Now we saw Alex last night. Worked an inning. Gave up an unearned run. This is his 36th appearance of the year. 4-1. So he is the designated winner when he comes out of the bullpen, apparently, of late. 2.92 ERA, and that's on the way down.
Evens account here, 1-1 on Ortega. And a good spot here tonight to pick up another win. Should he finish this inning?
Exactly. Exactly.
come in the 8th. That's the longest career relief outing for Tanner Scheppers, and it was about as good as you can do. Chopper, second base. Odor with the charge and throw, and it's a 1-2-3, top of the 8th inning. Here come the Rangers in the bottom of the 8th. MAZARA, BELTRAN, and BELTRE do.
Some late inning heroics once again trailing the Angels 5-4 as we head to the bottom of the 8th here at Globe Life Park in Arlington. This is the finale of a 3-game series and a 6-game homestand for these Rangers. Tomorrow is an off day. Then it is off to the West Coast for 3 in Oakland, the final road trip of the regular season. A quick jaunt out west. Game 1 will feature Cole Hamels getting the ball for the Rangers. He'll try to slow down the quick swinging bat of Chris Davis, who has 10 home runs this season against the Rangers. Game 1 at 8:30. I'm sorry, I'm having a difficult time with the time difference. 8 o'clock coverage starts. 8:30, which is a strange start time here locally. 8:30, first pitch from Oakland. I'll figure out the time zones here in a little bit. A big thank you to the fine folks at AT High-Speed Internet for getting us ready for the opener in which Cole Hamels will pitch for the Rangers in Game 1 on Friday. Time zones are hard sometimes, Dave.
What time does that game start?
Coverage starts at 8 o'clock p.m. here in Texas. Rangers live, 8:30 first pitch.
Well,
I think I've got it.
I'll be there. Get there early, everybody. Just be ready.
Bless my heart.
Yeah. It does get confusing. I'm right there with you. 5-4, our score here. And MAZARA rolls one to Pennington at second base. And that is the first out of the 8th inning. And it's also the first time that MAZARA has had to take a right at first base. J.C. Ramirez has come on.
Yeah, Ramirez on for his 65th time, and he's one of the main cogs out in that bullpen for Mike Socha's club. Opponent's hitting .258 against him. A hard-throwing right-hander, and he has been roughed up a little bit by the Rangers in the past, although they have not seen him in this series.
Carlos Beltran, last time up, our AT&T high-speed replay. Here you go, and there it goes. Number 28 on the year for Beltran. 2-run shot that made it a 1-run game, and it has stayed there since. 1-1 the count. 39 years old and having another excellent season. Jumps ahead here now, 2 balls and a strike.
I'd like to see Carlos get on against J.C. Ramirez, let Adrian have a shot with him representing the go-ahead run, because Adrian's hit Ramirez pretty well.
Two and two the count. So we're talking about the home run for Beltran, number 420 in his career. Now, he's 4th all-time among switch hitters. Mickey Mantle, Eddie Murray, Chipper Jones, and then Carlos. Amazing. Chopper over the mound. Tough play. Pennington with a charge. No play, in fact. Infield hit for Beltran. Potential tying run aboard.
He may not have the flat-out speed that he once did, but Carlos Beltran, when he smells a base hit, he gets out of that box pretty quick. He got down that line in a hurry, and instead of giving him oxygen out there at first base, they're going to let the Anaheim Shields run for him. Big smile as he goes back to the Ranger bench.
He had that look after he got past first and was taking off the shin guard like, oh, wait.
Yeah.
Making me run too much.
You saw where Pennington started out in shallow right field, so he had a long way to go, and a bare hand was the only chance he had and couldn't make it.
Great speed over there at first. So great, in fact, that Ramirez checks in on him immediately. Well, you got exactly what you wanted. Buzz, you wanted a base runner for Adrian Beltre, and he takes a strike.
Now, Beltre has gone 2 for 4 against Ramirez with some damage. Home run and a double. And considering the flair for the dramatic that Adrian has in August and September, I like this matchup, personally.
The numbers he's put up against the Angels in general this year, just ridiculous. 1 strike pitch. Ramirez going away. Beltre came in hitting .362 with 5 homers and 12 RBIs against the Angels this year. 1 for 3 tonight. Runner going, and a comebacker. Pennington has to go off his glove. Great recovery by Simmons. They do get Beltre. That had disaster written all over it. The Shields was running Pennington right into the double play, but somehow Pennington missed it.
Well, if the Shields is not running on that play, Beltre has a base hit, and the Rangers have runners at first and third. But Delino trying to swipe second and get into scoring position. That allowed Pennington to come over to cover the bag. And the ball hit like a rocket right past J.C. Ramirez. Matter of fact, it hopped over Ramirez's glove. And without Pennington going over to cover second on the steal, that's a base hit.
Well, it goes as a 4-6-3 put out at first. And Odor wants time. 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. This ball hit high in the air, back of second, and drifting out into shallow left field. Simmons is there, and the inning is over. So the Rangers leave a man in scoring position. We go to the 9th in a 1-run game.
We all know how well the Rangers do in one-run games. It's the wrong way right now, but maybe we can get that turned around and the Rangers can improve upon their record in one-run games before it's all said and done. John Radigan here in the Captain Morgan Club. Pudge Rodriguez is here to help straighten my tie just in case I need it. Do I need to? There you go, Pudge. He got me last night. Pudge will be here. So will Mac. We'll hear from Banny. We'll hear from the players. It's Rangers Live, a complete post-game wrap-up. Pudge just sitting down and getting in place as we get it back over to you guys.
All right, thanks, John. Hope that AC is pumping and you guys are nice and comfy. Ninth inning. Matt Bush comes on. He is the 5th pitcher of the night for the Rangers. They'll face the 8th place hitter, Carlos Perez, to lead things off here. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. Ooh. He has scored a run tonight. And you could argue that's the difference of the game. He reached on the error and eventually came in to score. So take a look at the numbers for Bush.
Saw Matt on Monday night, but a very quick and tidy 1-2-3 inning. And this is his 55th appearance of the year. And he's emerged as maybe the top setup guy that Jeff Bannister has gone to in the 8th inning. Really gotten into a good groove of coming in, throwing strikes with quality stuff. And I mean quality.
As the season has worn on, he is mixing more offerings together in one outing. You know, the curveball, the slider, and the fastball. Whereas earlier, might just be 2 in any one outing. He's getting better every single time out.
You know, fastballs still about 67% of the time or so. Curveballs, yeah, that may be a little high for this time of year. He may have cut the slider curveball ratio down just a little bit, but still, it's enough to keep people honest. And when he has his best fastball with him, he doesn't even worry about keeping him honest. So here it is.
It's a pretty tough one.
Yeah.
The 3-2 to Perez, and he swings and misses right through 98 miles per hour of heat.
Yeah, bottom part of the order, you get behind or you get to a full count. Nothing tricky from Matt Bush. He's just letting it go, and when you throw a 98 just above the belt, you're going to have success more often than not. Let's put it that way. But he understands you can't get behind the bottom 2 guys in this order. You put one of them on, then you're asking for trouble turning the lineup over.
So here we are now in the late innings, in fact, the 9th inning, and this Rangers bullpen has retired 9 consecutive hitters. And they have not allowed a run to score tonight. Only 1 hit. And a fastball for a strike. It's 1-1 on Pennington. Bullpen was shut down yesterday. And it is awfully tough again here tonight. 1-1. Pennington able to get a piece. Yunel Escobar waiting on deck for the Angels. And they had the 1-run lead. And it was one of those things we looked up before the ball game, and I can't even be certain why. We were just talking about the success the Rangers have had here at home. And I thought, well, what about 1-run games here at home? High pop-up off the bat of Pennington. MAZARA coming in, and he'll handle it. 2 gone. Andrew Bailey loosening up for the Angels. Well, the Rangers at home in 1-run games. 1-run games has been the ongoing story, and everybody nationally talking about it quite a bit. They're 21-2 in this ballpark in 1-run contests. 21-2. They're going to have to do their comeback tonight against Bailey. LUCROY, Moreland, and Andrews, the guys do once we get to the bottom of the ninth. The 1-0 to Escobar. Curveball for a strike.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, I have this just in case. Just for a little variety for you.
Just put that bat down and go back into the dugout. 1-1. And Bush a strike away from getting us to the bottom of the ninth with a chance for yet another tough and tight one. See if the Rangers can summon the magic one more time. Derek Holland went 5. It's been Jose Leclerc. Great effort from Tanner Scheppers, Alex Claudio, and now Bush. The 1-2. Fastball, line to right field, base hit. Jared Hoying, who'd come in defensively this inning, gathers it up, but Escobar with his second hit of the night.
Center fielder Mike Trout.
And that brings up Mike Trout. Homered earlier tonight, a 2-run shot in the 5th. As walked, was caught stealing. And he is a couple weeks away from once again leading the league in WAR, wins above replacement. It would be 5 years in a row for Mike Trout. And only one other player in Major League history has ever led the league 5 years in a row in WAR. Babe Ruth. And he was pretty good. Line drive, and Odor's there. Perfectly positioned, and it ends the inning. Now the Rangers come back. It'll begin with Jonathan Lucroy, Mitch Moreland, Elvis Andrus coming up, bottom of the ninth. Rangers down by a run, bottom of the ninth inning. Magic number currently at 2. And they've done it 47 times this year, most in baseball. Come from behind to win games, 8 walk-off wins. That's third most. And 20 times they've won a game in their final at bat. They want to do it again here tonight against these Angels, and in doing so, sweep the Angels.
Well, they're going to have to do it against the closer now, and that's Andrew Bailey, who's kind of a resurrection project for the Angels. Came over from Philadelphia, and Bailey, at one time, the American League Rookie of the Year. Toiled for a number of ball clubs, had all kinds of arm miseries. Now he's trying to get himself back together with the Angels, and he's been doing a very good job.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good story for them. And a necessary one. They have needed help. Jonathan Lucroy pokes one right over to Crone, who's able to snare it just off the top of the dirt for a line out to begin the bottom of the 9th inning. So one away. And Mitch Moreland, who is 0 for 3 tonight. Well, Jeff Bannister's been in this exact spot so many times this year. He has never lost faith in the notion that if it's close enough, his guys can come back and do it.
Yeah, Rangers may not come back and win this, but it would be a surprise if they don't, considering everything that's been going on. It just, every game you get into this part of the game, and it has that feeling of, okay, how are they going to do it tonight?
Three consecutive hits Monday night to win it in walk-off fashion. The one-strike pitch, a little bit outside. So Moreland, the lefty, against Bailey, the right-hander. Signed as a minor league free agent on August 12th. 1-1. Fooled him a little bit on that one. Rangers have had just one hit since the Beltran home run in the 5th inning. And just that one base runner. Moreland takes strike 3, a fastball from Bailey, and there are 2 gone in the 9th. So time running short now.
Pretty good job of painting that outside corner. That is a perfect pitcher's pitch. Just barely touching that corner on our box tracker. Hitters hate that pitch called a strike, and pitchers are upset if they don't get it called a strike.
Here's Elvis. Walked, stole a base, scored a run in the 5th. Hits one sharp play, base hit down the left field line, and that'll be extra bases. Elvis heading for second, and he'll stand there with a 2-out double. Yeah, Buzz, even down to their final out.
Yep.
They expect to get it done, and now that tying run in scoring position.
And it's a feeling that permeates the clubhouse and the dugout for the Rangers too. It's, you know, not only do they never feel like they're out of the ball game, they never feel like they're out of outs. It's just like, you know, we're gonna find some way to come up with an extra one here or there. Good job of hitting by Elvis.
That one struck with authority, and now he's out there. Tying run in his back pocket, and Jurickson Profar 1 for 3 with that triple back in the 3rd inning. It's up to him.
Now, Profar followed up Elvis Andrus' triple down in Houston that tied the game with a game-winning base hit to left field. Let's see if he can't do the same thing or have a game-winning hit that would have to leave the ballpark.
That's just it. I mean, it seems like in these late rallies, these are the 2 of the primary characters you see up there. Boy, big curve in there for a strike. Ooh. Pretty quality pitch right there from Andrew Bailey. Rally caps are out. Rangers trying to pull off another miracle. Profar asking for time. Or rather, that might well have been PEREZ who wanted time to go talk to Bailey. Magic number 2 for the Rangers. The 0-2. Profar keeps the at-bat going. Now his most productive at-bats come from this left side of the plate. 19 RBIs this year, 5 home runs, and all of those have come while batting left-handed. Outfield straight up, relatively deep. Shift on the infield for Profar to pull it. Not as dramatic as you sometimes see, but pretty clear nonetheless. Andrews off second. The pitch. And that just missed.
That's a pretty good take right there. I'm not sure it was a take. I think it's a ball. I think it was a take. I can't hit that. Well, I'm not going to swing at it. You see him kind of squatting down as he watched that ball go in, and that's not a good hitting position to be in.
It looks like Bailey has great command of that big curve tonight. The 1-2. Whoa, look out. Got him on the arm. How about that? Profar is on. Inning continues.
Amazing. 2-out double. Get down to the count. Ball at 2 strikes and he gets hit. Right on the armor. The elbow armor.
Just nicked it. Gallo to pinch run for him down at first. So Andrews second, great speed. Gallo behind him at first, and here's Carlos Gomez. Hitless so far tonight. That's been a rarity.
Yeah, he's due. He's due for a hit tonight.
Got a 5-game hitting streak hanging in the balance. Bounces at third, and Escobar wins the foot race. Angels managed to sneak one out of this series, beating the Rangers 5-4 in the finale tonight. 35,000 plus. They were all geared up for that big finish, but it just wasn't to be.
Yeah, Carlos going after the first pitch, got one he could handle, and just rolled over on it a little bit. And Escobar got a guarding line anyway, able to make the force at third, and Rangers came up a little bit short, although they put the winning run on base in that 9th inning.
5-4, Angels with the win. We'll be back with more in just a moment.